Does the fear of rejection prevent you from stepping into new relationships and taking risks? In this video, I'm going to share with you 4 things you can do to overcome the fear of rejection. Before we get into the content of actually how to overcome the fear of rejection, I think it's really important to understand where the fear of rejection comes from. And not just in you personally, but in all of us as humans. The fact is, the fear of rejection is something that's evolutionarily programmed into us. For the longest time throughout our history, before our modern civilization, we lived in tribes. We were hunters and gatherers. We didn't live in cities or condominiums or houses. We lived out and about, and it was a dangerous place to be alone in that type of environment. We needed the tribe around us to survive. And if somebody did something really wrong in the tribe, then one of the worst punishment that you could give to somebody was to banish them from the group. So we are programmed to have a really physical, innate fear of not belonging, of being left out, of being cast out, of being banished. So this fear of rejection that you might be feeling, first and foremost, understand that it's natural, it's not unusual, and all of us feel it. Now, the thing is, some of us might be limited by it. Some of us might feel it worse than others. And where that can come from is a lot of times in our childhood, we may have had a really traumatic experience, usually between the ages of 0 and 7. And as a parenthetical note here, I'll say that no matter what kind of childhood you had, even if you had the best childhood, you definitely had some sort of traumatic experience, because in your little 5 or 4 or 6-year-old brain, things that aren't really traumatic can feel traumatic. And so chances are, if you have a really serious fear around rejection, then sometime between the ages of 0 and 7, probably between 2 and 7, you had an experience that made you feel truly terrified as a result of being rejected. Perhaps you were up in front of the room at school and everybody was laughing at you. Or perhaps your mother or father left you behind at the supermarket one day, quite by accident, and you felt alone and scared. So somewhere in that childhood may be the trigger or the root for this fear of rejection. Now, the good news is you don't have to remember what that feeling was or what that situation was in order to move through it. And that's what I'm going to share with you in this video. And the last thing that I want to address before we get into the how is that at its root, what's really interesting and what might be obvious but also surprising is that when we have a fear of rejection, think about it. What we really fear is feeling a feeling. That's it. Now, 10,000 years ago, when we were cast out from the tribe, we might have a real fear of death. But in the modern world that we live in today, the fear of rejection is really just the fear of feeling the feeling of being rejected. So think about it. Can a feeling really hurt you? A feeling can't starve you. A feeling can't kill you. A feeling is just something really uncomfortable, and a lot of us will go through a lot of trouble, I know I have, in order to avoid feeling the feeling. So at its root, before we even get into how to overcome the fear, it's recognizing that you're fearing a feeling. And at the end of the day, a feeling can't really hurt you. So here are the steps to overcoming it. Step 1 is facing the truth. Facing the truth about what we think rejection means about us. Now, perhaps if we're interested in somebody romantically and we're scared of being rejected by them, then facing the truth is about facing the fear of what it would mean about us if we were rejected. Would it mean that we were worthless? Would it mean that we're not pretty enough or not skinny enough or not whatever enough, not successful enough? To face the truth about what we fear that rejection will mean about us. So as we do this exercise, what we might find is that we have some internal hangups. We have some things that we believe about ourselves, that we're not good enough in certain ways, and it might uncover some areas to dive a little bit deeper into. And one of the things that we can do in order to counteract is to start surrounding us with people who see us as our best self, rather than being around, because oftentimes as women especially, we can surround ourselves with people who who help support our negative belief about the world. So there might be a woman that we're commiserating with about this fear of rejection, and she tells us that, she might have her own fears of rejection. So one of the things that we want to do is start to consistently cultivate the feelings of the opposite, of good enough, of I'm worthy, surrounding ourselves with people who believe that about us and consistently reinforce that and mirror it back to us. I can't stress enough how much this internal game of fear and shame and I'm not enoughness can get in our way in the world. And so facing the truth about what you think rejection means about you is a big step towards getting over the fear. The second thing to do is to feel the feelings. Now, this can be really scary, especially since I've just shared with you what lengths we'll go to avoid feeling the feelings. So what we want to do is actually sit still, go inward, and actually feel the feeling. What does it feel like to be rejected? Visualize the rejection. What would happen if they rejected me? How would it feel? Getting into our head visually and actually being with that experience and feeling the feeling can go a long way towards diffusing the feeling and taking away some of its power. So once we've allowed ourselves to feel the feelings and scream or cry or let it all out, however that looks, we don't want to stay with that as the last thing we think about. We want to refocus on what we actually do want. And so here's the key. This is really, really important. When we refocus on what we do want, we don't want to attach the good feelings that we're going to generate to an outcome. See, if we attach the good feelings that we generate to an outcome, then we're still back in the same boat that we started in. We're letting our self-worth be determined by the response of somebody else, right? So what we actually want to do is we want to attach the good feelings to the act of stepping up, to the act of being courageous. We want to cultivate the good feelings that we're going to cultivate, which I'll tell you how to do in a moment. And we want to associate those good feelings to the act of being courageous and doing the thing, but not to the outcome that we get. Now, we might want to visualize the great outcome, but we want to anchor those positive emotions to the feeling of taking the chance, of taking the risk. Got it? So what you can do is write down the scenario. Write down what the scenario is that you're going to step up into. Is it you're going to walk across the room and ask this girl or this guy out on a date? Whatever that action that you're going to do, you want to write it out first and then write out the scenario and then close your eyes and walk through it. And I would put my hands on my heart and feel the feelings of courage and the feelings of excitement and the feelings of love and positivity. And so really cultivating those feelings as I'm walking across the room and as I say, hey, you're awesome and I'd really like to go out with you sometime, right? So going in and feeling those feelings of positivity and courage and excitement as I'm doing the action, and then go ahead and visualize what comes next. But we really want to associate those feelings to the activity rather than to the outcome. Make sense? So that's how you can overcome the feelings of rejection, by just tapping into the power of your own mind. So those are the first 3 steps, and all of those steps occur in your own mind by yourself. The 4th step is putting it into practice, like actually getting out there and doing it and noticing how you feel as you're doing it. And I know that maybe the feelings of fear won't completely go away, but here's what I want to invite you to do. Do it afraid. Do it anyways. Step into that scenario even with the feelings of fear. But just remember to put your hand on your heart and remember what it feels like to feel good about taking that risk. Now, if you want more support on things like this, I highly recommend hypnosis. Hypnosis has been an incredibly valuable tool for me, and there are hypnotists all over who can work with you to help you overcome the fear of rejection or any kind of fear. Now, also on top of that, I have a subscription to something called hypnosis.com. I'm a big fan of it. You can buy hypnosis audios and scripts, and you can work your way through a whole bunch of different issues that you might have. Every month you get some free downloads. I'm not paid. I don't make an affiliate fee. I just really believe in their product. So good luck. If you like this video and you want to learn more about working with us to help you up-level your mindset in your business and in your life, then go ahead and click on the button below and schedule a discovery call with one of my lead coaches. We can help you align what you do with who you really are so that you can shine and bring your gifts to the world. See you soon.